Hello YouTubers and subscribers. I wanted to make a video of my now pretty much complete Hyperspin arcade cabinet. This one is called MAME, and the reason I named it MAME is because it's a MAME, and Metroid was one of my favorite games as a kid, so I threw the two together and came up with MAME. The graphics I got off of Google Images. I just searched for high megapixel graphics and the word Metroid, of course, and ended up with coming up with this. I don't know whose it was. I didn't see any names on it or anything like that. But if it's yours and you made this, well, thank you. I made the marquee out of pieces of the main graphic. Just cropped it in Photoshop and added the letters with a font called War Games, I believe. And it came out pretty good. I'm happy with the graphics. I haven't done any side graphics or any other graphics on it yet. I may still do something. It is kind of plain still, but for what I'm using it for, I don't really need anything that is spectacular. Basically, the kids are just going to mess it up eventually anyway. So, as far as the screen goes, this is a really cheap screen I got. You can see there's actually a little line in it. It goes away after it's been on for a couple hours. I got it off Craigslist for $30. It's a 19-inch old Dell, but it gets the job done. For around the screen, this is just a piece of black foam board, and then what I did was I just hot glued it a little bit here and there to the front of the monitor, and then I covered it with plexiglass instead of paint. The plexiglass, it turned out all right. It's probably not quite as shiny as what paint in the back of the plexiglass, but it was definitely a lot easier just to cut out a piece of foam board and glue it to the front of the monitor. Navigation for the buttons, I mapped the red button on each side, on player 1 and player 2, to Alt F4 using X Patter, so it will close pretty much anything anytime. You can even close Hyperspin. So if I hit it now, it closes it, but I got a program restarter running that'll automatically restart it. So eventually I'm going to run Instant Sheller, and if you do hit this button on accident or even on purpose, it'll just be a black screen there and it'll reload Hyperspin. So that's how I handled that's probably one of the worst problems I had with Hyperspin, is the auto hotkey and everything, trying to get all the buttons to work correctly, exit, and this worked the best for me. I also added Winamp to my list. I haven't made a theme for it yet, but I wanted to be able to play some MP3s, and I wanted an easy, quick, and pretty much free solution to play some music on here too. So I added Winamp, and it's easy to get it to launch just like an emulator. And there's a plugin you can get for Winamp that lets you use joysticks to navigate, and basically you only get a couple of buttons and volume control, so you can shuffle through the songs like left and right, and volume up and down you have to tap it 1,000 times to turn it up and down, but that's not a huge problem for me. I just leave it on 100, and I use one of these to control the computer. Actually, when I need to use a mouse or anything, I use this, but it also works for going through MP3s and volume control. It's infrared, so you have to have a receiver, which I mount it right here. I just made a longer cord for it and soldered on a longer USB cord, and it works pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good range too. I can sit in the other room and still control it. But yeah, this player 1 starts music, and then of course, since the red button's Alt F4, it'll exit out, but since it's running a visualization on here, you have to hit it twice. So exit, and then I'm back to Hyperspin to where I can play games. I won't go over Hyperspin much. Anybody that wants to know about Hyperspin, just Google it or YouTube it, and you'll find 10 million videos about it. It's a cool front end. I like it. It's a little harder to sort the ROMs and get your databases and XMLs all named the same, but once it's done, it's very nice because you get a little preview of every game. If you can get all the videos and artwork and everything, you get a little preview. It makes it real nice. If you never played the game, you can just get a look at it and decide if you even want to play it instead of launching it and exiting. So, but all together, the cost for this Hyperspin cabinet was probably a little over $350 because I had a lot of the computer parts here. Speaking of which, we'll take a look in the back. I just put a hinge on here on the external. Some people say they probably would have put it on the inside or somehow done that. I don't mind the hinge, it doesn't bother me at all. I wasn't going for show quality or anything, I was just going for usable. Main power right here, volume, mechanical volume. I use the remote control lot, but if you want to override, you could use that. Put a vent down here from Home Depot, just a couple dollars, you know, $4 or $5 vent, painted it black. And there's some fans on the other side of it. Down here I had this plate out of, I don't even know where I got it from, but had a power switch already on it. This is the main, shuts off the light, computer, and the monitor. This one up here will only shut off the computer and put the monitor in standby mode. All right, take a look inside. Up top we have just a fluorescent light that I got from Walmart for about $8. There you can see where I hot glued that foam board onto the front of the monitor, and I actually just bolted the monitor down. I don't know if you can see that, it's going to be kind of hard to pick up with this camera, but there's just some bolts that run through a piece of board here to hold the monitor from shifting side to side, and then this is just pressed up against it real tight, and some L brackets hold that in place, and I can wiggle it around. It doesn't shift, it doesn't slide, it's pretty solid, so I'm happy with the way that turned out. Down here we have some fans, one's blown in, one blown out, just some miscellaneous computer fans I had sitting around, so I put that on there to add a little airflow. I haven't had any overheating problems or anything. Small eBay amp, I can't remember what I paid for that. I've had it around for years. It gets the job done, but there's a little bit of popping feedback noise from the power supply, which is right here. This power supply is 1.5 amps, and everything is actually soldered. I could have used some kind of bus or something down here. There's a sub in the very bottom. It's a small, cheapy, generic. It ain't nothing fancy. Probably 6-inch woofer or something like that. I don't know. But all the wires come down here and are soldered to this main plug. I could have used a bus, like I said, or a power strip or something like that, but I don't mind soldering it all on there. Really, to save 10 bucks even, it's worth it for a couple pennies worth of solder to solder all the wires and cut them off, because this is its home. This is where this stuff will stay forever. I'm never going to take it back out and use it some other project. So hard drives, I got 2, and they're just kind of cobbled in here really, but I got a bracket on this side and a bracket on this side, no inside brackets. They're just kind of wedged together. 1 terabyte for the Hyperspin. I'm used up probably close to 500 gigabytes with all the emulators and video files and all that. Main hard drive's 320 gigabytes, and it's running Windows 7. I got an ATI 6670 video card and 4 gigs of RAM, and I believe this is like some Intel dual core, around 2.4 gigahertz or something. It's an older motherboard. It's just an Intel generic board and everything, but it gets the job done for what I'm using it for. I don't know if you can see back in there, but I didn't use I believe it's called the iPack. I used a different kind of controller. It's not a keyboard mapper. Something I got from Paradise Arcade. It was pretty cheap. I think it was like $35. And the buttons I ordered a couple here and there, and I ended up adding more and more until I got to end up 10 per side, and that seems to be what I need to work Hyperspin correctly. But this is my arcade cabinet. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment, and I'll try to answer all that I can. Thanks for watching.